Good afternoon, everybody. I am Tom Calentis, the always proud principal of Libertyville High School, and today is my favorite day of the month, every month when we celebrate our Students of the Month. And really, this is our true Wildcat Awards, because these are students who have demonstrated to our staff what it means to be a true Wildcat. These are students who, some of them have really good grades, but some of them don't have such really good grades. Some of them are outstanding athletes. Others can't even, walk down the hall and chew gum at the same time. Some of them are really outstanding artists, and others of them, like me, can't really even draw a stick figure, right? So this award is not about some type of achievement. Those things are very important, and we always want to celebrate achievement. But what this award is really the True Wildcat Award, or the Great Kid Award. This is the award that we give to students, and what's amazing about this is the students don't apply for this award. Your son or daughter did not fill out an application and say, hey, pick me, pick me. What happened was they came to school every single day. They participated in their classes and in their activities. They walked our halls, and somebody on our staff noticed that this student is a true Wildcat. This student is a great kid for no other reason other than who they are, and that they come here every day and they do something to make us a better place. And so that is the most important thing we celebrate at our school, because we know that while grades are really important and athletic accomplishments and artistic accomplishments are definitely important, it's the heart and the spirit and the soul of a person that really lead to lifelong success. And so this is an amazing school because we take time every month to celebrate our students for demonstrating that great heart, spirit, and soul. I am going to bring you as a student. You're going to come up here today, and your teacher is going to talk about you, and it's going to be really awkward because you get to stand up here and have the teacher talk about you. And then it gets even more awkward because after your teacher talks about you, we're going to take your picture, and you get to stand up here while we take your picture, so it's awesome. But parents and guardians and friends who are here, you're going to have a moment here. We're not just going to put all the awkwardness on the student, okay? Before we get started with our formal program today, what we're going to do now for just a couple minutes is at your table, I would like the parents or the friends, the invited guests, you're going to hear all about why our staff is so proud of your student, but we'd just like to take a moment or two at the table for you as a parent, a friend, or a guest to talk about why you're proud of your student, okay? Teachers, you don't have to participate in this because you're going to come up and talk in a minute, but it's a chance for you to hear from the parents or the friends about why they are proud of the student that you're also proud of. So please have that discussion at your table for a moment. So this is a great sign when every table is so actively talking about this. That is awesome. And I'm sorry if I cut you off without somebody getting a chance to share. So please, student especially, make sure that if somebody didn't get a chance to talk, you make them cash in later, because you can never hear enough positive things about yourself. Before we get started with our presentations, one of the things that it takes to make a great school is to have a great and supportive community. And we're so fortunate in Libertyville that members of our community who have no students here at the high school are still wanting to support us and help our students with success. And one of our great partners, somebody who has been so proud of our students that he's been sponsoring this event for several years, is Mr. Jack Greasy over here. And Jack is the owner of Domino's Pizza in Libertyville. And every single month, Mr. Greasy donates a pizza to every student of the month. So student, when you come up here today, you're going to get your certificate, you're going to get a backpack, and you're going to get a Domino's Pizza courtesy of Mr. Greasy. And so you don't have to share that with your teacher or your parents, okay? That's your choice. But it is Super Bowl Sunday. I mean, you know, what a perfect way to add to the Super Bowl party, all right? So thank you very much, Mr. Greasy, for your support. All right, well, to get our program started today, we are going to bring up Mr. Thompson, who's going to talk about Kaitlyn Gowans. I put you first today. Yeah, you know, you thought, hey, let's start you off. Leadoff hitter.
You got to come up too.
Yeah, where's Kaitlyn?
Do you see this X right here? That's where you're supposed to stand.
Yeah, X marks the spot right there. There you go.
I don't usually bring any paper up to talk. I usually just do it, but I wanted to make sure I said a few things. I'm extremely lucky to have Kaitlyn in my class. I've been, the only bad part about having Kaitlyn as my class is she goes too fast. And everybody else, she'll be done with the project that we're working on, and everybody else will have several days left to go. And so she's sitting there looking, and never says anything about it, is happy just to do whatever, but I'm always feel guilty that I need to give her more work. Right? And actually, the funny part is she's fine with it. She's happy to do the extra work. The reason I nominate her is just, I would be up here all day. I would be up here forever saying all the reasons why I think she should be Student of the Month. Always on task. I don't think there's a minute she's goofing around or playing on the internet, or because I know no other students ever play on the internet or on their Chromebooks, right? You guys never play games in class on the Chromebooks or your phones or whatever, right? It never happens. But for Kaitlyn, I can honestly say it never does happen. Always on task. Even before winter break, when in our lab areas down by us, students tend to have a hard time staying focused on what they're doing. Kaitlyn was just focused on it and finishing up the project. She actually finished the project before winter break, which there was no other students that were even close to finishing it. Always finishing it before and willing to do more work, and just a pleasure to have in class. Not a big talker, right? Doesn't, and I'm sure this is probably her least favorite thing to do in the entire world. Stand up here and have everybody listen to me talk about her. I'm sure that's not something she wants or even needs, because she's very intrinsically motivated. And those are the reasons I nominated Kaitlyn for Student of the Month for Applied Tech. Congratulations. Now you get a picture taken too. Do we have a photographer?
All right, outstanding, Kaitlyn, great work. And I like the fact, you know, a lot of people when they see me, they say, boy, he doesn't really like to talk very much either. He's very quiet and shy. And it just shows that we as introverts can also be leaders as well. So thank you for that. Our next student we're going to bring up is Rachel Erdman, and Miss Guillard is going to talk about her from the World Language Department. Come on up.
Good afternoon. I thought it was really interesting, the new part of the ceremony where the parents get to say what they really like about their child, because I think we said exactly the same thing. And the thing I really, really enjoy about Rachel in class is that she is so kind and so caring and so interested in all of the other students in class. And sometimes it's difficult for that to come across when we're speaking French, and her vocabulary is really good, but it's maybe a little bit more limited than it is in English. But I also have her first period, so I get to see her interact with her peers before class and then also during class. And in both instances, I think she's just really impressive the way that she notices what other students are doing, and she takes interest in their activities, and she's very encouraging to students who are having trouble while we're doing work in class. So I think she's very, very kind and caring of the other students. And even kind and caring to me, which I really appreciate too. And every day when she leaves, she says thank you for the class, and she is always just very kind to everyone. She's also, I couldn't not say, a fabulous student. She's a really good speaker in French, and I'm guessing, although I don't know this for sure, a really good speaker in English. I bet she does a lot of talking. I can always count on her when I'm asking a hard question and everybody else is just holding back and they're not really sure and they don't want to volunteer. She always raises her hand, and even if she's not sure that she has the right answer, she'll help me out by giving me an answer that we can move on from that question with. And she always has a smile and a positive attitude. I also have to say that I'm impressed with as a freshman, the amount of extra activities you do outside of school besides just school, and the way that you're able to balance all of that with your work and do such a fabulous job. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Say cheese in French.
Thank you.
I was waiting to hear you say cheese in French.
Yeah, fromage. Yeah, hey. And Joseph's our photographer. He'll be appearing in Tahoe next weekend too, so he's good. All right, and Rachel, I was also thinking about when you say thank you every day, if it's merci or if it's just thank you. I don't know how that works in the French class. Merci. All right. Our next student is going to be Tyler Byrne, and we've heard from the awesome Miss Giard and incredible Mr. Thompson. Let's bring up the outstanding Mr. Albin.
All right, so thank you very much. It's my pleasure to stand up here next to Tyler. I'm going to go from what I had written down, and then I'll probably have something else to ad-lib as well. So, already ad-libbing. As you can tell, this kid's got a smile that can kind of fill the room. I noticed it very early on in the semester, and I'll just read it. Tyler's an absolute joy to have in class. Aside from handling the academic responsibilities of our course, which is geography, Tyler really does bring this personality that you see before you into the room every day. And it generates an atmosphere which is both fun, but it also remains very academic and intellectual. So always wearing the smile and possessing an infectious laugh, Tyler can be counted upon to lift the spirits of his peers and his teachers alike. Tyler balances his academic and athletic responsibilities as well. He is a member of the freshman boys basketball team and encapsulates the very best of what we mean when we describe kids as student athletes. And I could only say that it's a very genuine person who's standing here next to me. The laughter that he brings into the room and that he generates in our class never comes at somebody else's expense. He is extremely respectful to both myself, his peers, anyone that happens to come in or out of our room. Typically, when you think of having to get kids' attention at the start of the day, you're usually thinking of putting your phones away and, hey, I'm up here, I'm talking. But a lot of times it was actually he and another kid in our class arguing over mathematic formulas. So I did stop by Mr. Bender's room and I told him about that one day. It made his day. But he's just an absolutely wonderful kid to have in the room. Like I said, he's a very genuine person, and we have an absolutely wonderful school filled with with wonderful students and wonderful people, but he treats everybody with such respect, and whether you perceive it or not, it does garner you an incredible amount of respect from the people in the room, and obviously myself as well. So we're going to have to talk a little bit more about the spring, volleyball, baseball, all right? But Tyler Burney, everybody, it's just been an absolute joy to have him in the room this year, and I can't say enough good things about him. So thanks, buddy. And for what it's worth, the Philly cheesesteak pizza at Domino's is fantastic. So if you're looking for something for Super Bowl Sunday, please try that as well.
One thing that I'm pretty sure has never been said about me is that I was caught arguing about a math formula. So that would be a sight to see. Our next student is somebody that I got to see at his bowling tournament where he was lighting it up and knocking down pins. But the incredible Miss Skurski is here to talk about Dani Chimura.
This is Dani, and for those of you that don't know who he is, he, yes, is an excellent bowler, but he is very passionate about his Chicago Cubbies. And there was one more thing that I was going to say, but I totally forgot. This is Dani. I first met Dani last year. We were both working one of the baseball games, both up in the press box. He was the sophomore boys announcer that announced as they were coming out their names, and I was the scoreboard operator. What was awesome is Dani pretty much knew everybody's number by heart and certain statistics about each of those players, which I was like impressed by. He also called me out a lot of times when I wasn't on top of my game and needed to make sure that the ball was up on the board and the strike was up on the board, so he didn't miss a beat there, and wasn't afraid to let me know when I wasn't doing my job. So that's Dani. This is what sets Dani apart from any other student that I've had. When Dani has his mind set on something, he doesn't go 100%, he goes 110%. He is very serious about what he sets his mind to, and this attitude showed in my lifeguard training class last semester, a class I had the privilege to have Dani in. Lifeguard training is a class where students are Red Cross trained in lifeguarding, CPR, AED, and first aid, and hopes to receive a lifeguard certification by the end of the semester. Yes, the class can be very intimidating at first, especially when a student has to swim laps or even be in a pool when they haven't been in a pool for quite some time. However, if a student dedicates themselves to learn, practice, and apply and master all the skills needed to become certified, they will find that the class is very rewarding. When Dani began this class, he struggled on some of the prerequisite skills, as a lot of the students do. However, what set Dani apart was his perseverance to pass these skills that many students didn't show like Dani did. Most every day after class and even before school, Dani would spend time working on these skills that he struggled on. After extra practice, he would always come out of the pool analyzing his performance from the beginning to the end and identifying what he improved on and the skills that he still needed to work on. And then, not only that, but then he would always develop a plan to work on for the next class and the things that still needed work. He was his own self-critic, and at no point in this process did he ever get down on himself and cave into the fact that maybe he just didn't have it. He was determined and worked his tail off to master everything, and he did pass lifeguard training with flying colors. It was awesome. It was also awesome to witness the day he passed a brick test, which is a test that, we had to work on all semester, and it was what, the last day that you passed it? Before winter break, yeah. So for those of you that don't know what the brick test is in lifeguard training, it's a test, it's a physical test where a student needs to swim 25 yards to the deep end of the pool, dive down to the bottom of the pool, pick up a 10-pound brick, swim the brick back without the use of their hands to the shallow end of the pool and exit the pool all under a minute and 40 seconds. Seems like a lot, but Dani worked hard at finishing it and passing it. We worked the whole semester, spending many hours changing up his kick technique, working on his endurance and practicing over and over his dive down to the brick. Needless to say, Dani's hard work and perseverance is what allowed him to pass those tests. So it was a great day when he actually passed. It was like New Year's Eve. It was like the Cubs winning the World Series, wasn't it? It was so awesome. Anyway, so needless to say, Dani is just an awesome kid. If you've never met him, you need to. He always has such an incredible positive presence in class. He always showed up to class full of energy, always the one to sit in the front of the class and eager to learn. He is very hardworking and a dedicated student with an incredible drive. He never for once let his weaknesses stop him to what he set his mind to. In fact, it gave him more motivation to continue. I am honored here to stand next to this man and present him with this award because it's much well-deserved. And, oh, I forgot, you remember in the beginning, he also loves to quote Elf, and he's really good at it, right?
That's a quote by me.
Yeah. All right, this is Dani, you guys.
I love that story because that's really what we think a lot about at Libertyville, which is this idea that we're always developing in different ways at different paces. So it's not about, do I get something right away? That's not a measure of being smart or of being really intelligent. It's about, can I keep working at something? Can I keep developing my skills, believing that even if I don't have something, it's just I don't have it yet. And with hard work and persistence, I'm going to get there. So Dani, thanks for being a model of that. It's awesome. All right. Our next student that we're going to bring up is Amanda Murbach, and that is going to be, Amanda's going to be presented by the effervescent and musical Mr. Carnstead.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. So in the fine arts department, we rotate usually between music and the visual arts and everything like that. And this was a month that we got to pick, that music got to pick. And we thought of Amanda right away because she encompasses, or she's involved in multiple ensembles, both in orchestra, which I have her in class for, and then also after school with me in jazz ensemble. And then she also volunteers for our wind ensemble to play bass in that as well. And then you were also in pit orchestra in the fall, so it's all sorts of things. Aside from that, one thing that I really appreciate about Amanda is she's always ready and willing to learn, especially in jazz ensemble. This is her first year doing it, and she's done a great job. Like even we were at a contest a couple weekends ago, and one of my friends at a different school who taught here last year, we've not had the best luck in jazz with getting bassists. And he was like, "Who's that bass player? She's new this year?" I was like, "Yeah, we convinced her to do jazz." He's like, "She's incredible." So, and for her first year playing jazz, it's quite amazing. So I'm really proud of your work there. And then besides that, just always smiling and willing to work, and yeah. So, Amanda Murbach. So, good job.
So that's pretty awesome playing the bass. I got assigned to the bass when I went in and visited the orchestra class, and I need some lessons. So you got to help me out. It was like 2 fingers, 1 finger. I was trying to figure it all out, but it wasn't working for me. So, All right, our next student is Hannah Sachs, and she is going to be representing our English department, presented by the distinguished Mr. Tooley.
All right. Hannah, what are the kids calling Principal Clentus these days?
I don't really know. I'm not really in like a lot of the speaking things. Like a lot of my friends will come up to me. They'll be like, "Oh my gosh, did you hear this?" I'm like, "I didn't even know like that happened." But
Okay, so
I
you're
just
like
try
me.
and
Yeah.
fake it. Yeah.
So what are they? Dr. K, Dr. Tom?
Dr. K's fine.
All right, so we'll just go with Dr. K. So Dr. K kind of set the tone for me a little bit by saying this isn't so much a Student of the Month award as it is a Great Kid award, because I was going to challenge the moniker Student of the Month anyway. This is the first time in 2 years I've been able to nominate a student because English department, I counted 20-something faculty members today trying to figure this out. So we get the chance to nominate a student once every other year, roughly, which means this isn't really like my Student of the Month. This is like my Student of the Year award. And Hannah fits it perfectly, and everything that Dr. Tom said about what a Student of the Month often is exactly true. She is a great kid in every sense of the word. Bright, smart, yes. Great student, yes. A perseverer, yes. In fact, she's come in. In fact, you're probably the only student to come in this year more than once, just because, and not even because she needed extra help on something. It was just like, okay, Mr. Tooley, I got, the rubric, I got the feedback on the Google Doc on my paper, but like, can we sit down one-on-one and talk about like what else, just get a couple more tidbits of things, and that's great. That's what we live for as teachers, is to help students. So that's a lot of fun for me. She is, just hearing from her parents, she's got so much energy, and she brings such a positive spirit to class every day. And I knew she was a dancer. I didn't know that she would go 4 hours after school every day. That is insane, and I don't know how, yeah, I'm with you. I don't know how you go 4 hours of dance, homework, whatever else, school for a full day, and that blows my mind. But every day she comes in bright, smiling, cheery, brings a lot of energy, and is willing to do whatever. She participates every day in class. In fact, I was just thinking we missed a golden opportunity because, so we're reading A Midsummer Night's Dream in class right now, and the kids are kind of acting it out in front of the room. And I usually take one of the roles, because it's Shakespeare, one of the more difficult roles. So I took this character named Bottom, and Hannah today was playing the role of Titania, and there's a scene where Titania gets a potion placed on her eyes, and she wakes up having to fall in love with the first thing she sees. And at the same time, my character has walked off stage and been turned, my head anyway, has been turned into a literal donkey's face. So we were like moments away from you having to play the part of waking up and falling in love with a guy with a donkey as a face. And that would have just been a perfect example. I knew you would have done it, and you would have not been embarrassed. You would have totally like just ran with it, which would have been amazing. And that would have been, and I'm still now turning into the perfect example of how great she is in the classroom. But Hannah is, yeah, one of the best kids I've had the past couple of years in the classroom by far. I have a lot of students who are great students, they work really hard, et cetera, but just the respect, I like that someone brought that up earlier, the respect that I have for you, the respect that other students have for you, the respect that you show other students in your willingness to participate with anyone and jump right in. I respect you for that. So, yeah, very well deserved of this award.
Well, the only thing worse than my bass playing skills are my dance skills. So if you could, some of those 4 hours, maybe some pointers for me would help, because it's pretty nasty when I'm on the wedding circuit and things like that. So congratulations. That's awesome. We're going to bring up our dynamic duo here, Ms. Grossman and Miss Angelos, and they're going to talk about Trudel Baker.
So we're gonna tag team a little bit, And Mrs. Craig is going to go first.
Okay. So Trudel transferred from another district to LHS and has made tremendous improvement overall in school. Coming to LHS is a big change for most students, and the time and commitment to succeed can get tiring, but he's stuck with it wholeheartedly.
Trudel consistently demonstrates a positive attitude and has built great relationships with adults and peers in the building. Being new to the school, he was confident and tried out for the basketball team and made it. And with that, his personality showed even more. Trudel is respectful, kind, and polite to others, and is always very appreciative of the supports and resources that we have at LHS. He's always been open to strategies and techniques given to him so that he could be as successful as he can here at LHS. And his other teachers have mentioned that he's always putting forth his best effort, he's on task, he participates, and he often works up until the bell, which we know a lot of kids don't do. So overall, I feel very lucky to know Trudel and work with him every day, and I could only hope that you guys get that opportunity to see his smile also. And he is so deserving of our Student of the Month.
I actually had to tell Mr. Loika and Mrs. Silverberg that they couldn't talk because we were already overwhelming the crowd. But anyone who has met Trudel falls in love with him. Actually, one of the teachers that was just helping you out for an hour, I warned ahead of time. I'm like, you're gonna fall in love with him and want to work with him more. And what did she do? Come to my office after she met you and said, what a gentleman. I really enjoyed speaking with him. So out of 466 freshmen, our LST jumped on the opportunity to nominate Trudel for Student of the Month. As a counselor, sometimes it can be difficult to select a freshman just because they may not have had the opportunity to share with us who they really are. And I registered Trudel in September, so not only is he new to the high school like all of our freshman students, but he's new to the area. As she mentioned, he's a transfer student. And whenever transfer students come to Libertyville High School, I worry a little bit about just the rigor of this atmosphere, the established relationships that so many of our young people have since kindergarten for the vast majority. And that's a tough, hill to climb in the beginning. And I always wanted Trudel to know that I recognized that, so I would check in with him. And it would just become such a lovely experience for me to hear him express how appreciative he was that everyone was asking him how he was transitioning, that everyone was offering help. And he said, this place is such a great place to be. I hope I can stay. And that meant the world to me, Trudel. It really did, because I respect you like others are saying, and I know that you're a gracious person who will work toward a goal that I have seen you demonstrate. Basketball is a perfect example. When I said congratulations about making the B team, you said, we'll see, I'll make the A, and then you were on the A team. I was like, I didn't even think that happened. But you've proven yourself time and time again, and I just want to teach you. So character is something that a lot of psychologists talk about. What is character? What is character? And it's the mental and the moral qualities of someone, and your strong character will be the foundation of your success for life, and I'm fortunate to be a part of your journey. So thank you.
Well, Trudel, you and I have a lot in common because we're both freshmen here. This is our first year here, and it sounds like you've been adapting even better than I have, so you got to give me some tricks. Our next student is Spencer Ford, and he is representing the science department, and his teacher, the extraordinary Miss Buman, is going to talk about Spencer.
Hello. So this is my second year here, my first time ever nominating someone. So when the science department got the opportunity, they sent out an email to all the teachers that teach freshmen. Right away, I was like, I got one. Got to get Spencer up there. Spencer is just a really, really great kid to have in class. As you can see, he's always happy and smiling, happy to be in science class. A big goal of mine is to have my students hopefully sooner rather than later realize that they are scientists and that they can do science, and that it doesn't mean being the best, it doesn't mean being the fastest at doing the assignment, right? It means working with those around you, getting excited about the science, and Spencer really does a great job of that. One of the first outstanding things that stuck out to me about Spencer, around Halloween last year, I had all the kids make gravestones for scientists. It was a little scientist graveyard, and I'm walking around seeing what they're doing, and I see on Spencer's it says, Miss Buman, dead scientist. But it did say that I didn't die until like 3057. So also mentioned that my favorite student was Spencer, which, you know, you don't say favorite, but he's definitely one of the best kids that I have this year. Just his great personality, the way that he really does try his hardest, I think, on everything. And just coming into class every day, I think everyone enjoys having you there. And you're just such a good scientist. Student of the month, way to go.
Ready?
Yeah.
I've heard of students bringing teachers apples before. Starbucks gift cards are always popular, but presenting a student or a teacher a gravestone, that is a new technique. So good work. All right. Our next student, we are going to bring up the ebullient Mrs. O'Day from Family and Consumer Science to talk about Jack Regan.
Okay, so I'm going to read what I wrote in just a second, but it's kind of similar to what a lot of people have been saying. This is how he comes into class every single day with a giant smile. I had the pleasure of having Jack in my foods class, and I saw him for Link Crew too, so sometimes I'd see him twice a day, and literally this is his face the whole day. Like, my face would hurt from smiling that much, but not Jack. So one of the funny things too in foods is he would come in and like have sometimes jokes, or he'd try to make puns, and I'm like, that one didn't really work out, let's try again. But let me just read this because there's some other stuff I'll talk about too. So I'm so excited to be honoring Jack as Student of the Month. Jack is the type of student that I wish I had in every single class I teach. I also teach a pretty heavy load with seniors. This would be amazing if I had this from some of my seniors. I had the pleasure of this past semester having Jack in my Foods 1 class and seeing him 2 days a week. Jack comes to class prepared and excited to learn. We could be talking about the most boring or gross topic for foods, like foodborne illnesses, and he would literally be like, yeah, foodborne illnesses, and I'm like, okay, yes, great. He comes to class each day with a smile on his face and an eagerness to get right to work, once again, after telling me some jokes, or he would also come and tell me how this was really sweet, how he made his sister breakfast crepes for her birthday, and I mean, he would come in and say a whole bunch of things, and it would be like a highlight of my day. He's a natural leader in his kitchen group and made sure that they completed labs on time. Halfway through the semester, he asked to join a group of seniors because he wanted to transition out of his freshman group to be with seniors. I'm like, all right, sure, let's try it out. He always participated in class discussions, and on a number of occasions would once again tell me that he made the recipes at home, which is amazing. That's what I want the kids to do when they're taking foods. I want them to use the stuff and cook and clean. He cleaned, right? Oh, Jack, come on. All right, maybe, I know. Taking it back. Maybe if he takes an advanced level foods, maybe then he'll get with it, okay? He's an amazing student that brings fun, enthusiasm, and a love of learning to any class. I can only hope that I will have him in classes in the future. Maybe one day he'll be a famous TV chef and come back and visit and be our guest speaker. That would be amazing. And then I also wrote in here, keep on being you, Jack, because you are seriously a great student that I would, once again, love to have in one of my classes. And any teacher that gets you is very fortunate. So this is Jack. His wardrobe is pretty cool too, right, guys?
Give me the biggest smile.
Is it good? Does the hair look okay? Yeah.
You want to
Just
take it
kidding.
again?
All right. Our next student is representing the math department, and here to present the award for Liam Tucker is the legendary, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Brenner.
I don't know what to say after that. Maybe I should just sit back down. This is Liam, and unlike the previous students of the month and even a student of the year, I don't actually have Liam in class. Actually, I don't even know Liam. We were walking down the hall the other day, and he bumped into me, and I was like, oh, would you like to be student of the month? And he said, why, yes. And here we are. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. The part about not having Liam in class is true. I don't have Liam in class, and that's because I teach freshman geometry, and he is in senior level BC calculus as a freshman. But he is a valuable member of my math team. I'm the freshman math team coach. And maybe being in BC calculus has something to do with why he's so good on the freshman math team. In fact, we've had 4 competitions this year, and on 3 of those competitions, he's written a perfect paper. And I believe he's only missed 1 question all year on the NSML competitions. Now, you might wonder why he's not in my class. Well, BC calculus would be way over my head. But I've heard it's not over his head, so I went and talked to his BC calculus teacher to kind of get the scoop. Good in math team, good in a senior class. And sure enough, he's acing BC calculus. And in fact, his teacher, I was a little worried about a freshman in a senior class. So I asked about that, and she says he fits right in, maturity beyond his years, and that's true in math team also. In fact, they're taking a test right now. And guess what he did during lunch today? He went in and took the test instead of eating lunch. Why didn't she nominate you for Student of the Month? Oh, that's right. She has to pick a senior. Too bad for her, lucky for me. Okay, all those things aside, that is not why Liam is Student of the Month. Math team is quite hard, even at the freshman level. And when I can't figure out the questions, I look up Liam during lunch, and he explains the problems to me. And that's why he is Student of the Month.
I like your tie.
I got pie in my tie this morning.
Well, when you see this, you know why I am not lying when I say I have the best job in the country, because we're at a school where literally teachers are fighting over who gets to nominate and bring their student forward for our true Wildcat Student of the Month. And that's a testament to the quality of the families and the community that we live in, and how hard our students dedicate themselves to this school. I think, what's important is we heard so many different ways today of being a true Wildcat. Our students are very different in many ways from one another, but you all embody that spirit that Maya Angelou said when she said, years from now, people won't remember what you say, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And that's what it means to be a true Wildcat. It's to have that heart and that spirit and that kindness, and to give as much to your own development as you do to everyone around you. So thank you, students, so much for being who you are. You make our school such a great place.